And we're live. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Winning Move podcast. This is the weekly financial update from the financial wizard, my good friend Michael Zuber, who I watch his daily financial news. I try to every day that I can.
Wow.
Every day. I mean, it helps me keep up to date with everything that's going on. I listen to you years. I listen to This Week. Do you ever listen to This Week in Startups?
Not yet. No. Is that one I should check out?
I like it. It's a lot more of like what you grew up in business as far as like tech stuff.
Yeah.
And then but those are the two I pretty much listen to every day as far as like updates on the markets.
Very cool. Well, that's very nice to hear. Yeah, the daily financial news is it is becoming the standard for lots of people. It's well over 2,000 people check it out every day. Got 2,000 people hitting it within the first 3 hours. And just so you realize, I spend about 60, sometimes 75 minutes of my morning doing what I've been doing for 30 years. It's why I have a history and a track record. The only difference is I take some notes and I talk to a camera for 12 to 15 minutes. You're going to get just kind of what's going on with no political bias, aimed really kind of my orientation is the consumer because they are my buyers. They are my renters. They are what makes the economy go. And then cost of capital, because the largest part of my financial well-being is debt. So I watch debt. And then kind of anything around that can impact the consumer in real estate. So that's who I am. That's what I do. And thank you for being a daily viewer. And thank you for the 2,000 plus that watch it every day.
Oh, yeah. So let's start off. When do we know if the Fed raises rates or not? Has that happened yet?
We're going to know in about 11 minutes. And perhaps while we are speaking, we'll get an alert. But the announcement is supposed to be at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. And then more importantly is going to be his talk, which is about it's about 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big day. Yeah.
You think he's going to bitch out?
Yes. Well, I hope he doesn't. I think he will. I've been calling for half a point for 6 months. You can go back and watch my shows. 6 months ago, I was calling for it. Felt great about it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And a lot of stuff has happened, obviously, in the world that makes it easy for him to bitch out, you say. Yeah, cop out. But no, I'm still holding to my 50 base. It's the right thing. If he doesn't raise 50 basis points today, he's going to hurt the middle class. We are on the precipice of just horrible,
up, honestly,
just bad stuff. Today's an inflection point.
We'll explain to people what basis points are.
Yeah, essentially think about it, cost of money, right? So the Fed they control the very front end. It's called the Fed rate, right? So when you hear about the Fed raising a quarter, that's 25 basis point. 100 basis point is a single point. So 1% is 100 basis points. So when you hear a quarter, it's 25. You hear a half, it's 50. So that's what a basis point is.
Okay. And so explain to everybody else, because I didn't really start. Up until the last year, I wasn't even in tune with really what happened in the markets. Why do we need to raise the rates? What is going to happen if we don't?
Well, here the
speculatively, I mean, we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So let's talk about what has happened, because this you cannot argue. Right. No matter what you are saying, you look at CPI for all the jerry-rigged number that is, it was reported at 7.9%. I've actually done the correct math, just correcting for rent, and it's 11.2. So let's just say inflation at the consumer level is somewhere between 8 and 11%. No one can argue that. Nobody can argue. Now, why? That is where some debate can come in. I've been studying the economy for 30 years. I have an econ degree from a great university. And what I have learned, and I believe with every fiber of my being, is that inflation is and has always been a monetary phenomenon. Now, what is that? That's fancy words. Basically, what it means is too much money chasing too few goods. Think about what's happened in the last 2 years. We have spent, created, invested, whatever you want to call it, $6 trillion. And for the first time, we didn't bail out banks and hedge funds. We bailed out individuals. We sent checks to individuals. We sent out unemployment to individuals. We sent out child tax credit. We told individuals not to pay your student loans, not to pay your rent, not to pay your mortgage. So lots of people had a lot of extra money. So what did they do? Well, they spent, they bought in an environment where there wasn't enough stuff. So we've had inflation. We have had record inflations. I was technically alive in the 70s, but was too young to really remember it. I'm living through double digit inflation for my first time in my adult life. If he raises a quarter point instead of a half, he is basically saying to the American people, I don't care about you. I care about Wall Street. I think the choice today in now 7 minutes is very easy. If he does a quarter, he's taking care of the rich motherfuckers on Wall Street. And if he goes a half, he goes, oh, I care about people. It is that black
Explain
and
to
white.
everyone why a quarter helps Wall Street and why a half helps everyday Americans.
A quarter basically helps Wall Street because they've had time to prepare for it. Wall Street is a forward-looking organization or organism or whatever. They've had months to prepare for it. So they are set up for a quarter. Anything that is not a quarter surprises them and stuff could break. What happens to the American people at a half is we actually start to have demand destruction. We would see 30-year mortgage rates jump, which would slow down housing. We would see the cost of capital slow down. We would see zombie companies not be able to continually borrow money and still lose 50 cents a share. We would see
It's insane.
it is ridiculous. There's a company called better.com and there's a company called, I was going to talk about it this morning, but I don't have my notes, Upstart or something, that was losing gobs and gobs of money, but they were just trying to make it up with size because they wanted to go public. That doesn't work in an environment where rates aren't zero. Wall Street has been feasting on 0%. Do you know how much money you have to make if you can borrow at zero? Almost nothing. And you have this thing called positive carry. You take rates to 2, 3, 4, 5%, you've actually got to do some freaking work. So yeah, I think it's very black or white. What's going to happen in now 6 minutes. So, and I do think, and again, sometimes I get overly emotional and overly passionate. I do think a quarter, he bails out his buddies on Wall Street, and a half, at a half, he basically gives a finger to Wall Street and says, no, buddy, I'm in charge, not you. And my job, because again, the Fed has two jobs: full employment. Congratulations, you nailed it. And stable prices. In the 50 years I have been alive, this is the worst it's been, other than when I was very young. It's bad. And go fill up your gas tank, go buy some groceries, go buy a home, go rent. It has never been this bad. Miami, Florida, 38% rent growth for single family homes in a year.
That was wild. Fresno's at what, 25?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, somewhere in the low 20s for single family, right? Not apartments.
Yeah.
So but still bananas. I've been doing this a long freaking time. And you used to be happy with 4 or 5%. Miami is now the least affordable place for to be over New York and LA. It's crazy. I do think it's black or white. And perhaps I'm wrong. I probably am. But man, it is Wall Street versus Main Street. A quarter bails out Wall Street. A half bails out Main Street. But we'll see.
One thing I wanted to bring up that I've been learning about, like listen to like all these like startup podcasts and tech podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
These motherfuckers don't make any money. Like they take companies public. Uber doesn't make any money.
No,
like
Amazon hasn't made money.
Conglomerates.
Amazon doesn't make any money. Right, hasn't for a long time. Yeah, it's a pretty well known fact.
I feel like Amazon is a little bit different though, right? Like I mean, they're just sheltering money. I feel.
Yeah,
like.
no. Yeah, I mean but when people go look at the balance sheet, it's in the income statement. It's interesting. But no, I've worked in tech my whole life. I've worked at startups where the goal was to lose more money each quarter because it meant you were growing. I'm like, how the freaking heck does that make sense? And you've already seen Sand Hill Road, which is all the VC money. Venture capital money is off right now. They're no longer investing in kind of early stage funds, certainly not at the multiples. It goes through this cycle. That's why.
Yeah, the multiples have shrank.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why that's why people don't get the .com crash, right? People talk about real estate after the .com crash. Fresno was not impacted at all. They didn't have a .com presence.
Yeah.
Bay Area where I live, oh, absolutely. Valuations were crushed. Housing stopped for like 6 months. So yeah, people don't realize that if the Fed raises rates as much as they should, all kinds of stuff is going to break, and we will see unemployment go up.
Um, housingmarket.com crash that. I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
While I get that back, don't worry about it, man. You're doing awesome. What were your other big takeaways from the week?
Dude, there's retail sales came out today, and again, you got to watch my daily show. I nailed it again. So retail sales in January reported, and they were up. And I had to dig in because, again, I've been calling for retail sales to go down because I don't think the consumer is strong. The reason January was up is because of this little wrinkle in how retail sales are calculated. A lot of people got gift cards for Christmas. And when a gift card is spent, it is called a sale. So that's why January was up. It was because of gift cards for Christmas. Retail sales were down in February, as I expected. More importantly, online sales here, Amazon, Etsy, were down significantly. The only reason retail sales were up at all is because of gas. And the thing you got to know about retail sales is it's not adjusted for inflation. Why is that important? Well, here's some math for you. Retail sales were up 0.3% for the month. Costs were up 0.8% for the month. If you simply adjust for inflation, retail sales were down a negative 5%. All of these people calling about the economy being great are freaking wrong. It is not.
They're lying. They're lying.
They're just, wrong or lying, you choose. I'm going to say they're wrong. Some of them clearly are lying. The other thing that just annoys the hell out of me, I keep hearing about the consumer having $1.4 trillion in excess savings. I got news for you. The average consumer doesn't have it. The top 10% is probably sitting on 90% of that cash as dry powder because they know what's coming. A deep, dark, nasty recession. And the average person who didn't pay rent, didn't pay their mortgage, got unemployment, they didn't save a dime. They spent like drunken sailors, and now there's no money left over. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, gas prices in LA right now are $9. I was watching it, like $9.
Oh my god,
dude, it's insane.
$9.
In St. Louis, Missouri, Gerald Rojas, who used to be out here, is out there, and I watched his wife's story, and gas went up 10 cents a day. You try not to talk about gas prices because you're gonna have to buy that shit anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, 10 cents a day.
It went up 60 cents in a weekend for me. My gas station is like half a block from my house, 2 blocks, 60 cents in a weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Really?
60 cents.
So do you see him fixing the rate? Well, putting it up half a point. Do you see him helping with all this runaway inflation at all? Especially like because the gas stuff, bro. I don't see that going away anytime soon. And that's a little bit more political. But I don't see that gas problem going away anytime soon.
So him raising half a point does nothing for inflation today or in the short term. What it does is it sends a message. And the message is, I care about the consumer and I'm going to fix this. To be clear, 50 basis point cut today, or it may have already happened, or not cut, raise, is a sign of what's to come. That's why his talk track in 30 minutes is important, because it's going to take time. We will end the year with inflation north of 5%, in my opinion, but that will be down from 11. But it'll still be right. 5% of inflation in a normal environment is nuts for the American economy. We've been at or below 2% for 15 years. So yeah, I'm going to look it up right now.
And I mean, in all reality, true inflation right now is like 15%.
Oh, it
probably
could be
a little
worse.
bit higher.
Yeah. Here it goes. First rate hike in more than 3 years. So he approved it. What did he do? Oh, what a week. Quarter point.
Really?
Yep. Raised to the quarter point. So again, he bailed out Main Street, or bailed out Wall Street, not Main Street. We all lose. Wall Street wins. Wall Street rich people are happy. Yep.
Wow.
Oh, James Bullard wanted 50 basis points. I like James. He's the only dissenter. He wanted a 50 basis point increase.
When's the next time they raise rates? Like, do they do it on a certain schedule? So everybody knows.
They are published. I think the next is April. I'll look it up while we're talking. I'm just reading the announcement. This is so bad. So bad. So bad.
So how do people hedge against this stuff? Like the regular people listening to this, how do they protect themselves?
So the average person right now needs to realize that a recession is in the future, whether that's 3, 6, 12 months. Recessions are coming. One of the things you need to do is you need to increase liquidity right now. You need to look at any variable interest rate debt you have and try to get that shit under control. You certainly need to look to increase income, right? Whether that's a side hustle or changing jobs. One thing that is very good about today's economy, the best I've ever seen in my adult life, is wages. Unfortunately, by staying at your employer, you typically top out at 5%. You change employers and go to a competitor, you can make 10, 15, 20%, snap of a finger. So change jobs while the employment picture is good. You have some time given the weak announcement that we just had. Fixed rate debt. If you're going to be buying real estate, today's still a great time to buy real estate. Even if interest rates go up slightly, I was buying real estate 6, 7, 8%, 30-year money. It's still in the 4s and investors in the 5s. So still get cash flow, learn what an average deal is. There's still things you can do. You can still use inflation to get rich, right? I have this shirt and I mean it, right? You can use inflation to get rich. Oop.
Yeah.
Right. And it's by having fixed income and like with rents going up 38% in Miami, who wins? The landlord, right? So, yeah, it's really disappointing, but it's kind of what I expected.
Dang, you've been calling this for a minute too.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. All right, what's the next biggest takeaway, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Consumer sentiment. I was just talking to a mortgage broker, like literally before. It's why I was a few minutes late here. He noticed a change this week, so this is like brand new information. It looks like the people that are buying houses are finally reaching a breaking point. Higher gas prices, higher food costs, higher interest rates, higher prices, all of these things. They're now seeing buyer sentiment turn, and it's going backwards. And what this means, buyer sentiment leads to less purchases leads to more inventory leads to more days on market. It does not necessarily mean a crash. It just means we're going to be operating in a more balanced market, which is something we've needed for quite a while. So the real estate slowdown that I've been talking for 6 months is also happening right now.
That's good. Finally, some deals.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Deals.
Finally,
motivated sellers will start to wave at you. It's been really hard to find them the last 6 months or last year, but they're coming.
Oh, it's been hard. I mean, at the beginning of this year, we slowed down a little bit. We didn't do a lot in January. We did a ton in February. Mm-hmm. But it's still not been what it used to be. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it's to be expected, right? Inventory, people not moving, but no, it's coming back. I expect the summer to be a pretty good time.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mike. Where can people find out more about you?
One rental at a time. Go to your Google search bar. You should find a YouTube channel, website, books, all kinds of stuff.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Mike.
You got it.